So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Property VA's Recruitment Drive. We will begin the session shortly. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm very excited for today's session. Let's start here, slide number 1. Today is a session wherein I don't just introduce you to the VAs, but we will be talking about how to hire and work with VAs, specifically from the Philippines. Okay, quick format, we'll just run through this. I'll start by sharing with you my background, both in property and with VAs, working with VAs. And then I'll show you the exact training program that the VAs went through. I'll also show you those who did not make it. And the ones that you're going to meet here today, they're the ones who went through the program successfully. And that's the section wherein I'll get the VAs to introduce themselves so that you can speak to the VAs as well. Okay. The final section is where I share with you what my knowledge has been so far on the best way to work with virtual assistants, specifically from the Philippines. Okay. You might be wondering, well, why do I need to listen 1+ hours to Christina if I can just speak to the VAs directly? Well, that is precisely what I'm here to do, is to save you time, because it will take you about 2 to 3 hours to find CVs on online jobs, another 3 to 4 hours maybe to interview anywhere between 5 to 10 applicants. Plus, you may want to do some aptitude tests yourself to see if these are competent VAs, and then a few days to onboard VAs and maybe a few weeks to train the VAs. What I want to do is, hopefully, by condensing my knowledge in the next 1.5 hours and share them with you, I'm going to save you, if not 5 to 10 hours, then potentially, a few days of your time. So hopefully that's today will be good value in how you're going to spend your lunchtime with me. By all means, if you want to multitask, you can have lunch while you're listening to me talk. All right. Okay, so let's get on with it. About me, background. Yes, I do like this turtleneck, don't I? Great. So 2 bits about me: property background and VA background. So in terms of property background, my training is what I'd call classic property training. I joined Martin Roberts via Tigrant. It was called Tigrant then in 2013. They are called, I think, Asset Academy now. They went through a few business company name changes along the way. Yes, so fairly long time in property, but now I'm doing land sourcing and acquisitions. I started last year. We're getting on with our first new build projects at the end of this year, completing in 2023. At the same time, I'm also building the supplementary business in raising finance, private finance for property developers, using private equity, mainly from Chinese high net worth individuals. Okay, in terms of the VA background, it started off with just going through very informal requests when I attend property networking sessions. The people would ask me, like, where am I from? They maybe have a hint that I could be somewhere from Asia, maybe the Philippines. So they get excited about that because they've heard so-and-so co-property investor who's had a VA from the Philippines, and it's worked out really well. And they're keen to know if I can also help them find VAs from the Philippines, even though I knew nothing about VAs back then. But I would help them by just finding out from my network who is looking for a job. Can they work as a VA? Do they know enough to work remotely for a client in the UK? It became a formal business in 2020. When the pandemic hit, I thought, you know what? everyone's working from home, everyone's working remotely. Why don't I just jump in and make this a formal business? And that's how it started. I have a lot of learning curve since starting this business in 2020. Most of it, the fruits of all that learning curve, I will share with you the final section of today's webinar. Most of the learning curve has been wherein I thought it was enough that I found my clients, VAs from the Philippines, and I will leave them to it, to just figure out how to work with VAs from the Philippines. Because how difficult can it be, right? Everyone else is doing it, so for sure, I can also do it without difficulty. Unfortunately, I did not help my clients the best way with that kind of model, because what would happen is that clients would get frustrated. The VA is not doing what they want the VA to do. The VA gets overwhelmed and frustrated. There was no help in getting them to figure out a way to work efficiently together, maybe to communicate better, and to just figure out the way where the client doesn't feel like they've been left behind, which is what I was doing at that time. I would just leave them with figuring out how to work with clients. That changed in 2020, late 2020, when I started running VA training programs. I thought the best way to help my clients is to, before I find them a VA, to just, let the welcome the VA in through some kind of training and help them get the skills, the attitude, the behavior, and further on, later on, not just specific skills in terms of lead generation, but also how to create systems so that they help their clients in the best possible way. All right. So today is kind of the culmination of that. So after a year and about 2 months worth of getting and perfecting the way I train the VAs, the way I teach and kind of educate the clients in how to work with VAs, is today's session. Okay. So today's the first time I'm actually running a recruitment drive. I've designed this recruitment drive to be in 2 parts, wherein first of all, I explain what I train the VAs on, and then I get you to speak with the VAs. The VAs will also introduce themselves. And in this way, you can see what the VAs have been through and where they're at right now, and how they are ready to hit the ground running and help property investors like yourselves. So hopefully you'll see the value in that, okay? But first we'll start with how to find and hire VAs, the normal way that people do it. Okay, so typically it's one of 2 ways. They might be doing a DIY version where they're just winging it online. They might find some CVs on onlinejobs.ph, find some freelancers on Fiverr or Upwork. Or they might be using expensive agencies that are already, if not the industry related, like some property investor, VA outsourcing companies, or just kind of generic VA outsourcing companies based in the UK. There isn't any issue with using expensive agencies, apart from maybe it's not the right one to help property investors who are just starting out and may have some cash flow issues. Okay, so I'm helping those in between who are who maybe have problems with doing it, winging it DIY using online sources, but maybe who may not have the budget to approach and utilize more expensive agencies. Okay. What's not helpful with the usual way of finding VAs online? Okay, so there are 3 areas from experience that I get feedback from that describes a property investor's experience with finding VAs using the usual way. Okay, so I'll be talking about the issues with finding, issues with hiring, and then issues with working. Now, the working bit, some of it is my own actual learning curve and my own experience in the first year or so with helping clients working with their respective VAs from the Philippines. But I'll start with issues with finding VAs. You are property investors and you don't have the necessary experience or expertise, or maybe even the desire to have to go through the CVs yourselves and figure out what makes a great VA. And even then, from looking at super impressive CVs, what of the information can you trust that these are the people who they say they are? They've got the experience that they say they do, right? You don't have not just the experience and the expertise, but maybe also the time to do that. I showed earlier how many hours it might take for you to just sort through CVs from onlinejobs.ph, sort through profiles on Fiverr and Upwork, maybe more so Fiverr, because Upwork, the search results may not be as extensive as what you get on Fiverr. But essentially, what you're wanting to do is get rid of the trust and the time issues in having to do it yourself. Okay. And then finally, pinpointing the skills that you need to help you run your property investment business. Some property investor clients may be spending a premium price for VAs who are advertising themselves as freelancers on Fiverr and Upwork on skills that can be outsourced and delegated to a general VA at a fraction of the hourly rate that you pay for someone on Fiverr and Upwork. And not only that, sometimes property investor clients may have a concept of what kind of skills their ideal VA might have that doesn't match with what they were really intending the VA to resolve. So I'll cover some of that skills later in today's session as well. So I'm just going over the typical issues that property investor business owners might face when looking for VAs from the Philippines. Okay, so in terms of hiring, the issues that typically property investor business owners experience is related to knowing what to put in a contract, that they feel like there must be a contract between them and the VA. What do they talk about? What does it cover? How do they cover themselves? Do they talk about holidays? Do they talk about bonuses? Do they talk about working hours? It's somewhat very confusing, to be honest. You can probably find some free templates online or paid templates online, and even then you don't know if that covers you in full. You as property investors, when you run your business, you deal with data and information of your tenants, your clients, and they may be business partners. How do you cover that if the VA is looking after running that part of your business, right? And then secondly, you may have the terms correct, but is it valid though? There's no employment law that covers both the UK and the Philippines. In terms of contracts, can you really chase someone who's based in the Philippines? So how do you get around how do you resolve that feeling of insecurity for you as a business owner who's based here in the UK, right? And then the second part of hiring VAs will involve the onboarding process. So do you have one? How do you even start to work with a VA? What do you do on day one? What do you cover? And we haven't even covered training the VAs. That comes in the next section, right? So all of these are issues that face business owners like yourselves when you run a property investment business. Okay, now we start with the issues that arise when you're actually working with the VAs. There's training. Do you do it alongside the VA? Do you let the VA kind of do it themselves? Property investors have a multitude of platforms that they use to run their business. Some of them expect VAs to know them from day one, which is a bit odd because these are paid for premium platforms. And VAs might have, or they might find some videos on YouTube for them to learn it, but why would they learn a platform that only a handful of business owners utilize, where for the same amount of time they can be learning, let's say, maybe Facebook advertising, right? So, you know, how do you overcome that in as a business owner when you start working and hiring and working with VAs from the Philippines? Second issue is VAs, they do not come with skills for systemizing their work. What they will typically do, and that's the next section, is that they will sit and wait for instructions from you. Again, this is from my experience, as well as my client's experience, as well as shared experience from other business owners out there. VAs don't come ready to help you with your business. They come ready with skills. They come ready with typically some kind of generic IT skills, or maybe even specific skills like SEO or website management. But they don't come with what I feel is the most important skill to have as a VA, which is systemization, because it doesn't really matter what kind of task you're outsourcing to the VA. If the VA does not come with the skills to systemize what they're doing, you will forever be trying to catch up with the VA in terms of, you know, you manage them, you supervise them. So you've essentially just created a second job for yourself working with the virtual assistant. There's also the issue as a business owner that you never know really what your VA is up to. So that's transparency and insecurity. Do you install spying software or mouse click software so that you know that they're doing what they say they're doing? So these are some of the issues that I know for sure lots of other business owners out there have experienced working with VAs from the Philippines. And unfortunately, it does happen that VAs can trick you into thinking that they've worked 8 hours because they have a mouse program that just moves their mouse around the computer. And you, as the business owner, that's money off your pockets. Essentially, you're paying for someone who's fraudulently working for you, and that can not be helpful in building that, you know, good working relationship with the VA. If you're coming from a perspective of being insecure that you are being taken for, what's the expression? That someone's taking the mick out of you, right? And then there's unrealistic expectations of what VAs can do, especially with property investor clients. And I hear it all the time. For example, can your VAs find me property deals? Can your VAs get me a good deal? Which I think is the wrong question to approach with, because VAs do not find you the deals per se. Okay, deal finding is a high value task. You can outsource some of the tasks under it that are low value, like data scraping, campaign building, or DTV campaign preparation, for example. But to know what the difference is when you're a property investor, you just want things to get done. You just want things to happen, right? Because we know that we can do it. We just don't have the time to do it. So we expect that the VAs, who, by the way, have not had the same property training that you've had, they haven't got the thousands that you've invested in yourself to learn property investment. But unfortunately, property investor clients still expects that when they hire VAs, that the VAs do those things for them, okay? To understand the differentiation between what VAs can and cannot do is one of the issues that does not help create a really good working relationship with your VA. Okay, where were we? So now we've got things like sending payments. Do you send international payments? Do you incur costs sending international payments? Do you need to pay bonuses and all that? Those are some issues that property investor business owners do not realize that they will face once they start working with VAs. Okay. Also, there's an issue of replacements. What will happen if your VA, for no malicious reason, needs to stop working? Maybe they need to go back to a different kind of career. Maybe they found someone else to work for. Maybe there's some issues in the families. They need to stop working for a bit. But you've relied on that one VA for like the last 6 months or maybe the last 2 years. What happens next, right? So this, although it's not necessarily a working relationship issue, it's still a working issue when it comes to business owners who are left high and dry without a VA to take over the work that they've essentially not looked after. Okay. And then finally, which is cultural perspective, I feel very strongly about this. People who are based in the UK may not understand the mindset of VAs who are coming from a different background. By the way, I really apologize. My throat is killing me right now because I've had COVID last week and I'm still getting rid of like remaining things in my throat. So let me just, my throat's kind of dry. So I'm just gonna drink a sip of tea for a bit. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'll be discussing cultural perspective in the next slides. I feel it's one of the things that people ignore when they set off finding VAs from the Philippines, because they've heard they speak English, they've heard that they're industrious and very helpful, and that's all they need to know, right? But unfortunately, things can happen that you know, both parties do not understand what's going on. And if you're spending hundreds of pounds a month paying the VA, you might as well understand everything that's happening when you are, you know, when you are in this working relationship with your VA from the Philippines. Okay, so a little bit about Filipinas. If I haven't mentioned it yet, I am from the Philippines, and I'm not just a Filipino based in the UK. I actually left the Philippines when I was 24 years old. So that's pretty much full-blooded, you know, the whole culture is through there, okay? So Filipinos are helpful, they're industrious, uncomplaining, and eager. So these are probably some of the descriptions that you've heard other fellow property investors describe. They're really great, they're really fantastic Filipino VAs, right? You might have heard them say that, you know, you give them X amount of work, they'll finish it, they'll do it, they're not going to complain. Okay, they're also highly skilled in IT, whether that's just the basic IT skills in terms of maybe Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and all that, all the way to super highly specific IT skills, like maybe creating marketing campaigns or funnel campaigns, maybe SEO, other digital marketing. It's a whole spectrum of skills that you'll find Filipinos are able to do. And if they don't know a particular platform that you use, they're very easy to train. Okay. Also, you might have heard that for the most part, their English is easy to understand, as well as their accent. It'll be different from a British accent. However, it's good enough for you to be able to communicate easily with VAs from the Philippines. And then in relation to everything else, it just makes them a very competent person to outsource tasks to. Okay. And then finally, as we all know, it's very easy on your budget as a business owner. You know that you need to scale your business, but you want to scale your business in a way that you can have control over your cash flow. And hiring VAs from the Philippines, that will cost you anywhere from a couple of hundreds a month to maybe a few £400 or £500 a month is very reasonable for most property investor business owners. So that's the yay part. Now here's the nay part, okay, which business owners might only discover after they've started working with Filipino VAs, or maybe this is the first thing that they've heard from someone who's had a terrible experience working with VAs from the Philippines. Okay, what happened? Where did your VA go? What happened to your VA? Why did this VA do this and that? So these bullet points here will show you some of the reasons why the story that you heard from this other property investor client may have experienced. Okay, Filipinos have trouble asserting themselves. This is cultural. Like when I say, this is kind of typical of all Filipinos, even Filipinos who are outgoing, like maybe myself, you might consider me outgoing, or Filipinos who are gregarious, maybe they will, I'm going to assure you this, culturally, they will still have difficulty asserting themselves. Okay. Why would that be an issue? Maybe they have questions about the tasks that you've given them. Okay. Because they have this cultural problem of asserting themselves, they may not raise that issue with you. So they may keep on doing the wrong thing because they didn't approach you for help. Okay. They may not also admit that they're overworked. After all, they're uncomplaining. They're super helpful. They're eager to please you as their boss by doing the work that you give them. And you may not realize that actually you may have given them a bit too much and they've just not said anything. Okay. So it's kind of, I don't know if you guys have seen Encanto. One of the characters there is Luisa. And her main issue is basically she's just taking on all of this work, pressure and all that. And eventually she just kind of, she loses control and she pops and not pop physically, but she basically breaks down in terms of that overload and overwhelm. And that can certainly happen to Filipinos. And it does happen. It has happened. If you go to YouTube, maybe you can type in, why do Filipino VAs disappear? And you might hear stories from other business owners. Okay. Why do they disappear? Well, it's precisely all of these issues. They don't know how to ask for help. It's too much. They can't let you know that they're overwhelmed, or they find things too challenging. Pair that with also culturally, because I'm Filipino as well, we don't like displeasing people. Kind of not just our family, but the people we work for, the people who we interact with on a daily basis. Okay, so that includes you as their boss client. And so the easiest thing to do is just turn off their phones, not reply to any of your messages, and just leave you hanging with whatever work that wasn't looked after. Okay, that is certainly one of the I would say most unhelpful, most unpleasant experience that you can have while working with VAs from the Philippines. Okay, and myself, I have experienced this with one VA last year when she just completely let go of things. So even I had to learn so many things, not just by helping my property investor clients, but also while working with the VAs myself. Okay. How do we manage and mitigate these instances from occurring? Okay. I will talk about some philosophies later on in terms of how to just protect yourself as a business owner. But for now, we'll talk about, in this instance, how do we manage and mitigate some of the issues that surface when we work with VAs from the Philippines. Make sure that you not just insist or invite regular communications, but make that an SOP, that you and the VAs meet even for just 15 minutes, go for a weekly short team huddle where you can discuss, yes, of course, work, but in one of the best frameworks that I use when working with VAs is what I call LBs and NTs. LB stands for like best, and NT stands for next time. And it has to be in that order. So you talk about what you like best, and then you then address the things that things can be done better next time. Okay. And this works both ways, as much as just from client to VA. Maybe you can invite the VA to start with sharing what they like best and what they'd like to see happen next time. Remember, part of them not feeling comfortable asserting themselves is not just related to the work that you've given them, but also how they feel about working for you, how they feel about the workload that they have on. Okay. Also, having flowcharts will help you as a business owner identify if you're giving too much to your VA. There's another way that we can also mitigate this, and I'll share that in a separate slide. It's what I call creating a default diary. Sometimes when you're a small business, maybe having flowcharts may seem a bit ridiculous if you feel like it's just you and your VA and it's just a few tasks here and there. Then you can utilize having a default diary. I'll show that to you shortly, okay? During the interviews, you can also ask questions that may help you identify beforehand whether a candidate is more likely to be problematic in terms of having all those cultural issues. You can ask attitudes about them being perfect, or their feelings towards making mistakes, because everyone makes mistakes. What you don't want to happen is the VA makes a mistake and that's enough for her to just go AWOL on you. Okay. Also ask them for their attitudes towards asking for help and how they de-stress. Working as a VA, sometimes they're in front of the computer for hours on end. Maybe they're also staying up extra late because they're in a different time zone. In the Philippines, I think at the moment, we're still 8 hours behind the Philippines, but during summertime, we are 7 hours behind. Okay. So in conclusion, working with the Filipino VA can be very, very rewarding. Filipino VA rates as well. It's a very cost-effective way to outsource to a skilled English-speaking IT competent person. And then Filipino culture encourages helpfulness and friendliness, okay, as a typical trait. But we've seen how that same helpfulness and friendliness, on the flip side of that, are behaviors and social programming that's not helpful for business owners, okay? The challenges that face business owners, specifically property investors, is that they expect VAs themselves are the solutions, right? Why do I say this? I've had experiences where clients complain like the VAs didn't really find me any deal. And I'm thinking, that what I failed to do was educate the client on what the VAs can and cannot do, right? So this is where, again, this is like from, I wouldn't say years because it's only been 2 years, but about a year and a half of me learning from helping clients work with VAs. This is kind of the culmination of that. Right, so yes, business owners do not always have the right expectations of what the VA can and cannot do. Business owners are not aware of cultural aspects, cultural nuances that can cause frustrations to you as a business owner. Not only are you not in the same kind of wealth mindset, you don't have the same property training, but you don't even have the same cultural language in terms of how you work and what your motivations are, right? And then finally, virtual assistants may be IT skilled, but business support for property investors requires more than just having the right IT skills, okay? However, business owners do not have the experience, time, and knowledge to train their VAs correctly. I will show you shortly exactly what my VAs go through in terms of training and how many people drop out, how many VAs drop out. And the crop of VAs that you find here in the room today, they are, I think they're about 8 of almost 100 VAs that originally applied. So there. Oh yeah, this slide, I just thought, I want to just call this out, okay? Because some of you might be thinking, well, they are the solution, aren't they? That's why you want to hire VAs. Why else am I going to hire a VA if they're not going to solve anything? And here's the distinction, okay? Business owners expect that VAs are the solutions when they're not. VAs are the operators. They are almost very literally, like they're the ones pushing the buttons, but they're not the solutions, okay? I will demonstrate this maybe a bit later on, but I thought I want to share this slide with you. You may even, if you wanted to, take a screenshot of this so you can save this, because this for me is like the underlying concept as to why sometimes things don't work out with VAs and why some clients have like this super fantastic working relationship with VAs. And for me, it's this, okay? When business owners expect the VAs to be the solutions, it doesn't work out. But when business owners understand that VAs are just the operators, okay, they're not the solutions, then we start to build something that's not just like a great working relationship, but we help our own businesses to scale, okay? We cannot scale our business when we rely on VAs to be the solutions. But when we understand that the VAs are the operators, we can scale our business. I hope I've explained that in simple terms. Okay, so what I want to show you right now is Notion. Okay. I'm so sorry. It's a really bad time for me to have this this cough. Okay. This is Notion. I don't know if you've heard of Notion. You may have heard of Asana, Trello, Podio, which are all fantastic platforms, by the way. But hands down, I'm a Notion nerd. I do everything on Notion. It's so flexible, it's buildable, and it's so simple as well to work with. So if you haven't tried Notion yet, I do encourage you to do so. If you become my client, most of the work that we do when we collaborate will take place on Notion. Okay, so this is the page that I built on Notion for the VA's masterclass training. I want to share with you their schedule, what they went through. They went through 6 weeks of training, and if that doesn't elevate them from all the other CVs that you find in online jobs.ph, then that essentially would mean that it's going to be your 6 weeks that you will spend to train the VA that you will find. Okay, I'm going to say it now here that you can hire any of the VAs in this room directly without going through me. Okay. But I will also share with you why you might want to consider going through me, because all of the VAs that are in this room right now, they have gone through this 6-week training, and you can hire them directly. Okay, what they learned, most of you might be thinking, oh, right, so did Christina teach them Rightmove lead generation? Did Christina teach them Nimbus or Airbnb or what? Okay. What I start off with week 1 is mindset. And I don't mean mindset like maybe what you might have gone through in your own property investment training. For me, this is more like their professional attitude and professional behavior. Remember that we are always starting with the cultural programming that Filipinos go through for, hopefully before you hire them, a couple of decades, right? There are some VAs who are definitely under 20 years old, but for the most part, they've had about 2 decades of Filipino mindset programming. I am not here to reprogram that. I'm here to work with that kind of social conditioning. Okay, I start off with my own values that I insist all VAs also inculcate within themselves that they follow. These values are resourcefulness, excellence, professionalism, communication, and integrity. I won't go through all of that today with you now, but I just wanted to share with you that the first lesson that I teach the VAs would be resourcefulness. The quality that you would never want to have in a VA that you hire would be someone who is not resourceful, because that would mean that you will forever be spending your time working with the VA because they're frustratingly unable to solve problems on their own. Okay, so there we go. So that's week 1. And then week 2, before, again, I teach them anything about property investing, not investing so much, but the support that property investors need. I teach them how to systemize. For me, when I hear systemization, I don't think about expensive software. I don't think about some extensive program that some other guru is wanting thousands of me from. I think about systems as, what can I do to save myself, save yourself, stress, time, what is E? I think energy maybe, and money. Okay, that's the acronym for systems. For me, it's all about what's the low-tech version, in fact, the free version that I can utilize, that the VAs can learn very quickly and implement straight away, so that when they start working for their clients, and I tell the VAs, look, you can find clients through me, or you can find clients elsewhere. If you attend this masterclass, you can utilize the same knowledge for working for other business owners out there. Okay. VAs that come equipped with the skills to systemize what they're doing are, I would say, like worth their weight in gold. These are priceless VAs, and it's so easy to teach them systemization. The philosophy and the concepts behind it are easy to understand, and I give them specific skills to do, and in specifically for working on Notion, for example, I just show them exactly what to do on Notion to create a very simple system to get them started and working for their clients from day one. Okay. And then, only then, do I move into week 3, where I talk about specific business support skills that VAs should need to learn in order to work for a property investor client. Now, it will be at this point where I'm going to tell you that I'm not here to teach the VAs every single platform out there that clients need to run their property investment business, because it's not time efficient and it's too costly. However, what I do teach the VAs are the basis on which that they can then use the foundation skills to provide the business support, the specific business support that you need on whatever platform that you require the VAs to to work on. Finally, week 4, I teach them lead generation strategies. Although you could say that this is part of the business support that property investors need, I specifically want to put this in a separate week so I can talk about and address all the skills related to lead generation. Okay. And then the final 2 weeks is I walk them through the systems that I create in the property VA that I use for my clients, that they can also utilize for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you as the client will be forced to use this system, but it's there if you wanted to utilize it. So we don't have time to go through all of this today, but what I will share with you is just more or less what kind of systems I've created that the VAs can utilize. So I've got here the tenant database, for example, acquiring tenants, closing the tenants, what's this, ASD, tenancy, delivery, welcoming the clients into your properties, and then a system for making sure you get paid. Okay. And for each of these tenants that we onboard, what kind of this is very kind of detailed way of having a database for your tenants without having to use expensive CRM software out there. Okay, so we've got maybe things like, the documents that they need to submit. What else? Delivery, everything that you need to submit. So everything is kind of checklist based. Again, you may not need to, so you may already have your own system, which is all well and good, fantastic, but not everybody has a system. So if you don't, and you become my client, you can use my own property manager SOP. Similarly, I have the same systems in terms of lead generation, and I'll just show you that, show it to you very quickly. Lead generation, I have a a library of strategies. Here we go. that the VAs can utilize. Okay, you may have your own specific lead generation strategy that you know works for you for the properties that you want to find. But in case you've come in as a client with kind of zero not input, but zero instructions in terms of what you need the VA to do, well, we have a library for that. And each library, each strategy in the library will have a short description, the instructions, specific step-by-step instructions, objective, what might this lead generation strategy be suitable for, and then a ready set of templates that your VAs can use. Again, this is the standard library. It doesn't mean to say I'm forcing it on you, okay? Why do I do this? Some clients, okay, not clients, but maybe some property investors, they might ask the VA's question like, is this gonna find me a rent-to-rent property? I mean, you're asking that question of a VA who's not had property training. So therefore, this library just helps my VAs communicate back to the client in the correct way, okay? And when I say correct, I don't mean like for them to claim that they understand something that they may not understand, but that the clients don't understand, that the VAs don't understand this strategy, okay? So instead of the VA claiming that they understand things like finding BMV property deals, what they'll do instead is direct you to the library because it's already there. And then, you know, it's up to you as the business owner to make that judgment call. Again, VAs are the operators, they're not the solution. Okay. Right. So what I like to do, because I'm afraid we are kind of running out of time. Okay, so the VAs go through 6 weeks of training. They only get invited to the recruitment drive if they actually complete every weekly aptitude test. And these are the crop of VAs that have completed that. Okay, we've covered the topics that they go through. And it's now time to meet the VAs. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to invite the VAs to unmute themselves when I call out your name, okay? And just introduce yourself to the group. So I'll start with Chelsea. She's the first VA on my screen. Chelsea, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Chelsea Lucas. Allow me to share a few things about me. I am a cat person. I also love spending time with my cats and cooking healthy foods for them. I enjoy watching vlogs, tutorials, internet analysis, and mini courses on YouTube. And that's actually my favorite social media platform. I like watching movies as well, because if the film is good, I would probably enjoy it no matter what the genre is. I take pleasure in listening to good music and podcasts because I figure that listening to good music and podcasts while I'm working or doing something makes me more productive and focused. And my favorite cuisines are Filipino, Italian, and a couple of Mexican foods. What makes me a great VA is that I already have a prior knowledge on becoming a virtual assistant even before I joined the TPVA. I have worked as an admin support virtual assistant for my previous client. I was primarily the point of transactions for my client's business colleagues. And that's what I enjoy doing, to give services, to provide quality results, and empower my client to serve their clients through optimizing their workload and scaling their business. More than the skills and experience, what makes me a great VA is that I put my 100% on every task that I work on. I make sure that the results or the output I put on the table are not half baked. And also, I always take the opportunity to learn new things. Like I have an eye for learning, and I think That's when my fast learning skills and multitasking skills kind of got triggered. And now I'm confident that I'm fully equipped to provide virtual services for my future client. Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Please, could you mute yourself now? I'd like to invite Harry. Harry, please, can you introduce yourself to the group? Harry, unfortunately, we can't hear your audio.
Hello.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Hi. Traveling. I love reading books, which especially novel, biography, and articles, and also I love playing video games, which is something exercise my mind or that are a lot of puzzles. What makes me a great VA is being initiative with my work and also the eagerness of learning something and to improve myself more. And also being adaptable because I had already interacted with different foreigners from my previous internship, and also being upbeat and optimistic with my work situation, no matter how hard it is. And also I believe that that the traits that I applied from my previous work are really effective, and my employers and I are still in good relationship, and we still in keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Good introduction. Mary Grace, could I please invite you to unmute your mic so we can hear your introduction to the group?
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Gilles and nice to meet you all. I enjoy watching YouTube videos, reading novels, and listening to podcasts. What makes me a great virtual assistant is I can multitask things, I have the ability to adapt to changing work conditions, and I am open to learn new things. I learned to deal with different kinds of people when I work as a service crew, food attendant, and sales clerk. And I am thankful for all of those experiences because I learned a lot about how to face a different kind of customer. And I am currently working in the back office of a visa company wherein it improves my computer skills. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Grace. Could I invite Rachel, please, to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon. I hope you are all having a sumptuous lunch. Thank you for spending time with us. My name is Rachel Diaz. I enjoy reading, watching true crime and K-drama, and deep in topics that, aside from our TPVA training, I have 5 years of experience in project management, data visualization, documentation, reporting, and customer service. Also have work experience as a Facebook Marketplace VA. I can adapt to your working style and I can easily learn the applications you prefer to use. I work best with minimal supervision so you can focus on your prospects and let me handle the admin work for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Karina, would you like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the group?
Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karina Reyes, but you can call me Rina. I really enjoy listening to acoustic music because it makes me relaxed and comfortable. And also, I enjoy playing with my kids, and our favorite game is hide and seek. Now, what makes me a great VA? It is my flexibility and my ability to adapt to changing work conditions. And my 10 years of experience in the hospitality industry honed my skills in handling difficult situations and to come up with a solution. Above all, I believe that a great VA should have the value for honesty and integrity. And for me, it is important to be honorable even when no one is looking. In addition to that, I am teachable. A great VA should never stop learning and to acquire more knowledge and skills through training. And that's what I have learned in the property BA, thanks to Christina. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karina. Could I ask you to mute your mic? And I'd like to invite Geraldine. Go ahead, Geraldine.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Geraldine Magondakan. I love traveling and going to the beach on my free time. I'm a type of traveler who's comfortable in following an itinerary that I prepared myself. And because of travel restrictions now, as you know, I spend my free time watching travel vlogs or maybe watching videos of tiny houses and unique accommodations. At work, my friends or my colleagues would describe me as someone resourceful and a problem solver. And I think I acquired that with my 10 years of stay in the BPO or the business processing outsourcing industry. In the previous year, where I was handling a team of new hire staff, I was able to identify a process gap and was able to lead a change that resulted to productivity and lead generation skill improvement of those agents. Apart from joining Christina's masterclass, I also made sure that I equipped myself by attending a training as for virtual assistants and social media management. So my future clients, I want them to have the time so that they can focus their business, and I take care of the admin tasks, the research, and preparing maybe contents and even basic bookkeeping. Again, my name is Geraldine. I hope I can speak to my future clients more next time. That's all.
Thank you so much, Geraldine. Edith, would you like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the group?
Hi, good evening all. My name is Edith Cervantes. During my vacant time, I am listening to podcasts about crimes and law, and I also watch YouTube tutorials to advance my learnings. I am also doing some bakings for my clients or customers here in Parañaque. I do have a 4 years experience as a procurement officer in a construction firm in Metro Manila. I also rendered a 1 year experience or service as a customer service representative in one of the leading banks in the Philippines. I believe I am a qualified and competitive BA, for I am adaptive, resourceful, dedicated. I can provide you or do you lead generation, admin works, and I am also keen to details and updating the systems. I can do social management and email management. Also, I am open to constructive criticisms. That's all. I am Edith Cervantes. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Edith. We have another VA in the room, but she earlier had problems with connectivity, but we'll see how she's coming along. Bernadine, could I ask you if you're able to unmute yourself and show your video so we can see you? Okay, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi. I'm Bernadine Salom. I enjoy cooking. I love listening to music, and also I love playing with my kids during my spare time. What makes me a great BA is that I am flexible. I am also a quick learner. I'm also a team leader. So I work as a general assistant VA with a real estate lawyer. I'm in charge of preparing transfer documents and also email handling, management, and customer service also. talking to customers. So I have also worked as an receivables specialist for 9 years during my corporate job. So I'm in charge on collecting of payments with clients, also sales invoicing, and also preparing documents for what call this for preparing documents. And then recently I took a bookkeeping basic course in Coursera. So I just finished the course last January 23. So I guess that's it. Thank you. Again, I'm Bernadine, your great VA.
Thank you so much, Bernadine. Okay, just for everyone else in the room, I open the floor if you want to ask questions to the VAs or to me before I move on to the next section. The next section will be a bit of how to work with VAs. Okay, whether you find the VAs here tonight or through me, or just outsource tasks to my ready team of VAs if you're not ready or prepared to work with a dedicated VA for now, or you find the VAs somewhere else completely. If you can stay for that, then you might learn a thing or two. But yeah, so we've spent 10 minutes. Basically, you've listened to some of the VAs here. Hopefully that's, time efficient, cost efficient way of you meeting a handful of VAs straight away. So if I can invite some of you in the room, if you've got questions, you can unmute yourself, show your video, and be more than happy to answer some questions. And maybe you have questions for some of the VAs. Okay, maybe you might have some questions later on after the session. If you're happy for me to do this, I can now share my screen and go back to the presentation. Right, so we've just met the VAs. Hopefully you were able to see how they are in terms of their personality, what you can find maybe a bit of compatibility with your business. You can approach me after this webinar for if you wanted to request the CVs of these VAs. I will forward them to you directly, and then you can go through their skills, their work experience, and other information that you might want to know about the VAs. So for now, the final section will go through hiring and working with Filipino VAs. Okay. The first important topic that I'd like to cover is managing your expectations as a business owner working with VAs from the Philippines, specifically for property investors. Number one is the VA cannot replace you. Knowing which tasks to outsource that is low value versus high value judgment-based tasks is quite crucial. Secondly, the VA cannot do everything. For me, I cannot emphasize this any more than I'm doing right now. The typical list of tasks that I get from clients, their wish list of what they'd like the VA to do, can sometimes run through 3 A4 pages. Okay, that for me is almost like a wish list of things to go wrong with the VA. I would recommend that you focus on no more than 5 groups of tasks. Okay, not individual tasks, but like groups of tasks. If you can in fact limit that to 2 to 3 groups of tasks, or another way, if you can think about groups of tasks if you think of them as roles. So is the VA being an admin VA right now? Is the VA being a lead generation VA right now? Is the VA being a marketing VA right now? Okay, so do not try to get the VA to look after everything, because you couldn't look after everything yourself, hence why you need the VA. So why would you expect the VA to just duplicate the same issue that you've had? Okay. Third, the VA cannot make decisions for you. So questions like, is this a good deal? Do you think this is gonna work? Typically, you know that they are business decisions if they sound like vague questions, okay? If the questions cannot be answered by either a specific answer or a black and white yes or no answer, maybe you're asking the VA to make a decision that only you as a business owner can do, okay? And then we've got the fourth way to manage your expectations is that, yes, I've trained the VAs, or the VAs are competent. They've got the IT skills that you're looking after. They know the accounting or bookkeeping platform that you specifically request. They've done Facebook marketing before, many times before. They've run funnel campaigns before and all that. They will still need your time and supervision in varying degrees, okay? We want to, at the property VA, we want to create a working relationship wherein we'll try to minimize that as much as possible, but we want you to understand that we cannot remove it completely. So I'm going to go through some of the philosophies that, for me, if I had educated my clients before, in my early years, going through steep learning curves in terms of really how can I help my clients best work with VAs efficiently, work with VAs productively, okay? And the first one is systemization. I'm just gonna quote something that I found on the internet about systemization, which mimics the other previous philosophy that I mentioned earlier, wherein business owners think that the VAs are the solutions, okay? So this is where it comes from. Systemization is where you think, where you understand that it's the systems that do the work, and the employees, i.e. the VAs, and maybe even yourself as the business owner, you operate the system, okay? The business should be systems dependent and not employee dependent. So that is to say, we will, if I'd educated my client, I always go back to that. My clients previously, if I'd help them understand, and if also I understood it fully, that no business owner should be fully reliably dependent on the VA to make things work for the business, okay? And instead, business owners should be reliant on the systems wherein everyone in that business, the owner, the VAs, and any other team members are simply operating the system, okay? Philosophy number 2 is scalability. As a business owner, you must not make your VA indispensable. What I tell all the VAs that go through my training is that I want them to understand that I will teach my clients that they should be replaceable, which may sound super scary for a VA to think that, wait, what? You want me to be replaced? So I'm essentially, I can be discarded by the client. What I tell them is that the point is not for them to just be fired by the client. It's for them to help their client scale their business, grow their business, such that their original role as a VA might be elevated along with that growth, okay, along with where the business is scaling up to, okay? So VA must be replaceable. You as a if you've never hired VAs before, and the first time you work with VAs, you might think, oh my God, I'm never wanting to let go of this VA. I want you to think differently. Okay, you should never ever think that your VA is irreplaceable. In fact, if you start your working relationship with the VA by understanding, both of you understand that they can be replaced, and you as well as a business owner can be replaced, because you cannot scale your business if the business will rely on you forever present in your business. Number 3, VA-able tasks. How to find out whether a task is VA-able or not. Here are a few things that I apply to check whether they are VA-able. Is it checklist based? That is to say, can you provide a set of conditions or assessments in order for the VA to utilize and apply towards the tasks that they are doing? If it is, then yes, it's VA-able. Can you provide a step-by-step instruction? Yes. If it is yes, then it is VA-able. If you can't, if it's in your head and you can't extract it in such a way that can be translated into a step-by-step instruction, then at that point, it's not yet VA-able. We can help you at the Property VA to translate the thing that's in your head right now that only you can do into a task, or maybe into sections of tasks, or not just like one lump of tasks, but maybe several groups of tasks, wherein some of that group may still be looked after by yourself, only you can look after that, but some of that task can now be outsourced and delegated to a VA because it's been translated into a step-by-step instruction. And then third, can you generate templates out of that task? That is to say, can you repeat the same direct-to-vendor letter to the homeowner? Can you repeat the same email? Can you repeat the same spreadsheet? If you can create templates out of the tasks, then yes, it's a VA-able task. And then the fourth check is it low value, repetitive, and time consuming? Then most likely it's also going to be a VA-able task. VAs can look after what appears to be high value tasks, let's say finding you or building you a pipeline of off-market property deals. The end result is itself very much high value because it's not calculated by a very minimum hourly rate. You're looking at maybe something that can bring to your business tens and thousands of pounds and maybe hundreds and thousands of pounds or more. But not all of that has to be a high value task. The tasks that are involved for you to achieve that as a property investor, some of it will be low value, and those are the tasks that we can outsource to our VAs. Okay. A word of warning, unless you're really comfortable and confident in terms of distinguishing what's VA-able and what's not, sometimes this can go unnoticed by both the client and VA if you're not careful. Both are not careful. Okay. I think this is the last philosophy in this slide. Don't go crazy. Your VA cannot do everything, and you don't have to outsource and delegate every single task that's on your wish list. Okay, focus on a group of about 3 to 4 task groups, just enough to free up some of your time. Maybe you need to review some of those tasks in your wish lists yourself and clarify within your own self as a business owner how you're actually going to outsource this to someone else. Okay, how would you determine which one you should free up? Immediately, I would say the one that requires the least amount of training and the one that's the most time consuming of what's in your wish list. Okay. Right. At this point, you might be asking, okay, Christina, how much is it going to cost? There's two ways that you can do this. You can go direct to these VAs. They're free to you're free to contact them. Ask me for their CVs. I'm going to share the screen again later on so that you can take a screenshot of the VA's names. You will have to arrange and discuss fees with them directly. You may even want to go into additional interview sessions with them. You may want to contact them so that you can give them a task for them to complete for you to decide whether you want to work with these VAs. Okay, these are guidelines. Some of these VAs may charge more or less than the guideline. Also, the fees will depend on the role that you want them to perform. So this is just for general admin. If you have something a little bit more specialized, maybe something to do with digital marketing or content creation or maybe bookkeeping, then these rates may not be correct. Okay, so just as a guide, full-time VA is likely gonna ask an hourly rate of $3 to $3.50 an hour and a monthly salary of about $350 to $450. Similarly, this is for part-time rates, and then this is for freelance rates. If you ask me after the webinar, a copy of these slides, I can provide them to you, okay? I will contact everyone who's attended and not attended as well if they couldn't make it, a copy of this slide as well as the replay to this session. The other way you can go about it is you can hire the VAs through me, and my role becomes not just the relationship manager, but also the VA manager. Some VAs prefer to contact me instead of bothering their client if they have a question about anything related to their tasks. Maybe it's lead generation, maybe it's to do with a campaign that they're looking after for their clients right now. So I will charge a monthly fee that includes the VA's fees, okay? So this is just for general admin. My full-time fees are £500 a month. Part-time is $350, and then fixed freelance. I won't take in a client less than 10 hours a week would be £250 a month, approximately £6 an hour. Okay. Again, this already includes my fees as well as the VA's fees. Other roles, if this is for the property VA, when it comes to going directly, this may be different. So if you just want the lead generation VA to look after lead generation, data scraping, and campaign preparation, it's £250 a month. If you need a VA to create content for you, generally this is weekly content and then a few extra content for social media. That's £250 a month. A bookkeeping VA is £125 a month. Okay, so these won't be dedicated VAs. These will be singular role VAs. So all they'll do for you is lead gen, all they do for you is content creation, and all they do for you is bookkeeping. So they will be working for other clients, not just yourself, because these are single role VAs. Okay. Other specialist VAs that you may be thinking of that you'd like either now or in the future, that we'll have to discuss that, because I don't have a standard rate for these VA roles. They may be Facebook marketing VAs, they may be digital and other specific IT role VAs. Okay. Quick compare whether you want to go direct or through me at the property VA. If you go direct, all of the VAs will have had the TPVA masterclass training. They will also still have access to the replays as well as quick guides. You will need to pay international fees to pay your VAs directly. It's unlikely that the contract that you will get the VAs to sign with you will be easy to pursue. Okay, so you might have some difficulty with that. Also, you will likely need to pay a 13th month bonus if you want your VA to stay with you and to be happy working for you. In the Philippines, it's a requirement that employers pay a 13th month bonus. I say requirement, I mean legal requirement, but you are not based in the Philippines, so you are not required to pay a 13th month bonus to your VA. But this might mean your VA will happily work for someone else who will. All right. Also, you can ask me for a free copy of any of these slides, any consultation, you can still come up to me and we can get on a Zoom call and I'll help you still, okay? If you want to go through me to find the VA that you're working for, that you want to work for, I will be your VA relationship manager. I will run weekly drop-in clinics, both for the clients and the VAs. This will be very informal. I won't have a topic per se, but I'll be there to just help you with troubleshoot any issue that you might have. You know, you and the VA can both join in on the drop-in clinics, or the VA themselves feel like they need to approach me maybe, so they might want to join in there even without you in the same room. You don't need to pay international fees because I'm based in the UK, my bank is based in the UK, and therefore you pay in the same currency without incurring any international fees. Also, there's an option for you to hire multiple VAs at exactly the same rate. So let's say you know that you only need a lead generation VA this time around, and then maybe later on, 3-6 months down the line, your property business is gaining some traction, you've got lots to talk about, now you want a content marketing VA, but you don't want to overload your existing VA, then we'll plug in a ready-made VA, ready to go VA to look after that aspect of your business. There is no separate 13th month pay. I will be the one to pay the VAs the 13th month pay out of the fees that I charge in the monthly service fee. Also, only the VAs that you hire through me will have access to the systems that I've created on Notion, as well as the full lead generation strategy library. If you hire direct, I'm going to assume that maybe you have your own lead generation strategy, that you will not require the VA to utilize the ones that I've got in our current library, in which case it might work out for you that way. Okay, so if you do want to work with us, I'll just explain briefly how we work. I mentioned earlier things like default diary, SOPs, and all that. This is how we work the property VA. Before we start working for you, we will create a default diary. I'll explain in the next slide. And then from day one, when the VA starts working for you, the VA will first of all work towards creating an SOP. Why? Again, we want to make sure that you do not become dependent and reliant on the VA. Anything happens to the VA, whether it's a personal issue or something else, that they cannot work for you any longer, what you do not want to happen is that you will find it very difficult to find a replacement VA. Starting off with an SOP will help you minimize that stress if it happens to your business. Okay, so for the default diary, we create this for you even before the VA starts work, even before you sign a service contract agreement with myself. You will get a very clear idea on the VA's tasks and roles, which we will chunk into blocks of time. You know how every hour will be utilized by the VA during the VA's working day and working week. Saves you time for instructions, it will also help avoid the need for you to install spying software. You still can if you wanted to. I would say, however, that it's not the best way to build a good working relationship with the VAs, because you're always coming from the mindset of distrust and insecurity. Okay. Instead, what we'd like you to measure would be the output that the VA is carrying out for you, and not the mouse clicks. Because spying software, they will measure mouse clicks, not output. Also, with the default diary, we can help you as a business owner have focus, clarity, and discipline as to what you'd like the VA to take, the tasks that you'd like the VA to look after. The default diary is not set in stone. It can be reviewed for improvement and adaptability. But we will always start with a default diary before we get the VA to start working for you. The SOP. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. It's another way of thinking about systemization. I always think of, can we do this in a low-tech way? Can we do this without fancy training and expensive equipment? Because systemization sounds like a scary word, but actually what it is a method of working wherein you know that anyone who's going to sit in that role can just operate the tasks. Okay. So this is carried out by your VA in the first 2 weeks, maybe just 1 week, maybe a little bit more than 2 weeks. That depends on what kind of tasks you are wanting to outsource, how difficult it is, how complicated, and how many steps are involved, and also how many platforms you may require the VA to work on. Okay, so these instructions that you provide to us before we start working for you, we translate that into an SOP, and the SOP is presented in like 3 sections. What is the trigger? What is the action that that the VA needs to carry out when she or he sees that trigger? And how does the VA conclude that task? Okay. Okay, so I've put in here that the SOP is like an external record of your instruction and how the VA operates that. It's because what we want to happen, again, it's the philosophy that I talked about earlier. We want to make sure that you are not dependent on the VA. If the SOP is in an external instruction, it's not in your head, it's not in the VA's head. If the VA is sick tomorrow, the instruction is in an external referenced location. Okay? Anyone else can then just sit in that same role and carry out the tasks. Okay. Right, I put a note here. Yeah, don't go crazy. Start with systemizing 1 to 2 task groups, maybe maximum 4 or 5. Okay. Especially in the first month, I would definitely just encourage you to not go beyond 2 task groups. A little bit more on systemization. I am going to write here verbatim what Josh Kaufman, I actually don't know who Josh Kaufman is. He's just someone on the internet who is maybe a guru in systemization, but he explains it in such a detailed way, and it covers everything efficiently. Okay, a system is a process made explicit, repeatable, series of steps, formalized, and then externalized. So these are the words that I want to pull out of what this person says about systemization. It's an explicit process. I always go back to a task is VA-able if it's checklist based, repeatable it can be performed by anyone of the same ability. That is to say, everyone then becomes redundant in the business. Okay. Series of steps. We go back to a VA-able task. Do we have instructions? Do we have checklists? Do we have templates? It's formalized, i.e. like an employee manual. It's what an SOP is, standard operating procedures, the employee manual, and then it's externalized, okay? If it's still in your head, you've not systemized the task at all, okay? If everyone will have to rely on you remembering it, you being present, you not being sick, you not being dead, then it hasn't been externalized. So we will help you at the property VA extract the thing that only you know, the thing that's only that is only in your head and nobody else understands how to do it, so that the business is no longer reliant on you to be present for it to be carried out. Q&A, and then my contact details, as well as if you wanted to book 30 minutes Zoom appointment with myself, that is my Calendly link. I've created a bit.ly link for it. I'm going to give it a few seconds. There we go. And then I'd like to thank everyone who's joined us here today. I would like to hear you tell me what you think about today's session. The actual hiring, you could say, can happen after this. If you want to request any of the VA's CVs, I'm going to start sharing my screen so you can take a screenshot of the VA's names. Ask me by email or privately if you'd like to speak to any of these VAs, and I would be more than happy to facilitate a one-to-one interview with any of them. If you'd like to hire the VAs through me directly, then you can use the Zoom link for a one-to-one call so that we can discuss what VAs you need, what tasks you need looking after. Okay. Do we have any questions in the group before I thank everyone and say goodbye? I will leave the floor open for a few more minutes. Hopefully my cough will go away soon.
Hi, Christine. Can I just ask, it's Mandy, can I just ask, so when you're talking about the systems, if we go through you with the VAs, then we tell you the kind of things that we would like a VA to do, and then you set up the systems, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. That's what will happen. I don't think just one second. Sorry, guys. I am going to share something that I created this week for one of our clients. So you mentioned like you have your own way of doing things. Can we create that system for you? Yes. Do we charge anything for that? No, it's already included in you hiring the VA through us. Why do we not charge anything on top of that? We like to utilize things that are not too high-tech, too technical. We're not using an expensive software. That's why we can create it for you quickly, easily, and cheaply. Let me find, let me show you what we're doing right now, for example. Okay, this is the one that we just created this week. We start off with creating a workspace on Notion for the client. And then we create a video walkthrough so that the client can easily just watch the video so that they understand the layout of what we created. I mentioned earlier, we always start with the daily default diary. This is what we have here. It is a proposal because we'd like to try it out to see if it actually makes sense and it works for a client. So Mondays, data scraping, client's own described phase 2 workflow. Tuesdays is phase 4. Wednesdays is the VA just doing a crop check of the data, the sites that they've data scraped. By the way, this client is a C2R strategy client, so everything's on Nimbus. But I'll show that to you later on. Wednesdays to Thursdays is for the client to review. So while the client is reviewing this, what the VA is doing is preparing, getting the campaign set up so that Friday comes, the client, ideally the client would have approved everything by then. If not, then at least we've prepared the campaign, okay? And then the client is the one who decides when to set the trigger in terms of posting the campaign. Okay, then we create the SOP for the client. So we've got, this is how we create the SOP. If it's not already in one of our libraries, again, if you have a very specific set of instructions that you'd like the VA to do, this is what you might expect to see we create for you, okay? So we'll have the task description, very, very detailed. You know, we've got a screenshot of what that looks like. Where do you find this? What button do you press? What toggle, what layer, what overlay you click on, all the way to which workflow that site gets saved into. Again, viability. We never get the VA to make any judgment calls. Everything is checklist based. So here's an example. If the return on cost, according to what Nimbus is displaying on the screen, is less than 25%, then it's a no-go. So checklist, it's a yes or no. If it's greater than 25%, then it gets moved onto, that is to say, the next criteria is applied, all the way to when the VA essentially saves all the sites in one stage workflow on Nimbus. And that's a trigger for the client to then check the VA's work, and so on and so forth. So this would be an example of what we will create for you as a client. And although we create the default diary we create before we start working for you, the SOP, however, is created about the first week or two that the VA is working for you, depending on how complicated the task is. What else do we create for you? We will create the workflow for the campaigns. So this is the workflow for sending out the campaigns and the workflow for sending out the follow-up. So we'll make sure that, you know, sending out DTV campaigns is all about how consistent you are and how long you're staying in for the game to build traction. Because if you don't send out follow-up letters enough, then your first 2, 3, or 4 campaigns is likely just going to be a waste of money. It's going to be an expense instead of an investment. Did this answer your question, Mandy?
Yes, that's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, really helpful.
Thank you. So yeah, so we do have like a standard ready to copy system that the VAs can recreate for you, but it's, you know, I understand everyone runs their business their own way. So we may need to revise that or recreate a new system for you entirely. So yes, it works 2 ways. One is you just use the cookie cutter. The other is we recreate a new system for you. Thanks for that question, Mandy. Is there anyone else in the group who might like to ask questions about working with VAs, or questions to specific VAs, or questions about how we work at the Property VA? So I think maybe that might conclude today's session. Thank you to everyone who attended today's recruitment drive. And I hope that the VAs have impressed you, and I hope that you have seen I didn't describe it fully. We didn't go through it extensively, but you've seen the program that these VAs went through in order to be where they are right now and ready to work for great property investor clients like yourselves. So thank you so much again for joining me here today. I look forward to hearing back from some of you, and hopefully we'll find these VAs work for property investor clients like yourselves. Thank you, and I wish you all a lovely day. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.